Yo, what's going on, everybody? GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about, let me make this picture a little bigger because it doesn't seem very, yeah, we're going to be talking about the 6th episode of season 3 of The Walking Dead, Hounded. Very interesting. Again, we're going to have two different storylines of Woodbury in prison. We're still split up, not a lot of the characters are meeting up, but a couple of the meetups happen this episode. A couple of the worlds cross between Woodbury and prison. This is a pretty good episode. A lot of crazy shit kind of happens, and a lot of realizations occur. Let's talk about Woodbury first. Andrea volunteers for sentry duty and is trained to use a bow and arrow by one of the town guards, Haley, played by Alexa Nicholas. She is a new character introduced in this series. I don't know how big of a role she's going to play, but she had some dialogue, so we had to acknowledge that. So she's like, yeah, with this old group, we used to shoot and stuff, and I'm a pretty good shot. I shot a couple walkers. I actually like fighting, so put me out there, When a walker approaches and their arrows fail to fell it, Andrea jumps over the wall and kills the walker with a knife. Obviously, she's not allowed to do that. They want to be as safe as possible in Woodbury, so they're not allowing any civilians to jump over the wall and do it that period. You have to get a permission from the governor to go, do a mission or something, She is chastised by Haley for breaking the rules and called to the governor. So obviously Haley snitches like a little bitch. She's a minor character. What did you expect? She's one of the side characters, so she's going to be not a very likable character. Andrea says that seeing the fight between Merle and Martinez the night before had invigorated her. It motivated her. It kind of influenced her to get in the fight with this walker and go hands-on, So she's kind of blaming their customs for it in a way. Andrea spends the night with the governor and they have sex. Obviously, we kind of knew that this relationship was taking off in this series, but we didn't think it would be going sexual anytime soon. But hey, look at this. They have sex. So obviously Andrea is on the governor's side for everything now if they have a sexual relationship. Meanwhile, Merle and 3 others from Woodbury have been tasked by the governor to locate Michonne, who had left the town. They need to locate her to save her, not just to save her, and also just to make sure that she's not a threat to the camp, to Woodbury. Not the camp. They have a whole fucking town. I'm underestimating this shit. I'm undermining it. She ambushes them, killing 2 of Merle's men. So now it's just Merle and this other guy. I forgot what his last name was. Gargiulio, I think. Merle shoots Michonne in the leg. She then runs off. So she escapes still, but she's hobbled. She got shot in the leg. So Merle did some damage, but she still ended up getting the last laugh and getting away from these people. Merle is left with the inexperienced Gargiulio, another character introduced. Somewhat decent character in the series, played by Dave Davis, which is a funny name, to track her. It's come on, man, we gotta keep going. We're still left, we gotta get her. It's still 2-on-1. Merle continues the pursuit, and eventually the 2 of them engage in a fight. The fight draws walkers, which pin them down. So they find Michonne, but then there's walkers surrounding them. Michonne escapes by slicing open one, spilling its entrails on her and allowing her to flee unnoticed, while Gargiulio helps Merle to break free. So it ends up just them fighting against the walkers and Michonne fighting against her own walkers, and it just doesn't work out. Recognizing Michonne is heading for the dangerous red zone, Merle calls off the hunt and returns to Woodbury with the intent to say that he killed Michonne. Again, the governor's lied himself about other things. Why wouldn't Merle do the same? I kind of support that as well. You don't want to keep going and keep getting into dangerous situations with this girl. Gargiulio refuses to lie to the governor, and Merle decides to kill him, and obviously cover it up as everyone but Merle just survived. She's like, oh, you want to go against me? I'm the authority out here. I was the leader. I was sent out here by the governor to facilitate this mission. So yeah, Merle and Michonne both separately converge on a shopping mall where Glenn and Maggie are gathering supplies for the newborn and obviously getting ammunition and other supplies for the prison. So how coincidental is this? They all run into each other at the prison, and it's kind of crazy. Michonne doesn't get involved smartly because it's pretty much a 3v1. She's by herself, and they know. The other people, Glenn knows who Merle is, so he's pretty much on their team right now. Michonne stays hidden as Merle approaches the two, having recognized Glenn as part of Rick's group that had left him to die in Atlanta. That's all he really remembers this group for anymore. He holds it over their head, which makes sense, but Jesus. He forces the two to drive him back to Woodbury, driving back to the town. He doesn't want to see his brother just yet. He wants to introduce these people to the governor. Michonne, overhearing the conversation, gathers the supplies Glenn and Maggie obtained and makes her way to the prison. So she knows what this prison is. She didn't realize there was civilization. She's like, oh shit, they're at the prison. I'm going there. And that's about the end of that. We don't get much out of her going to the prison, though. So they leave the shit behind because they're getting held hostage by Merle. In Woodbury, as Glenn and Maggie are locked into separate rooms for later interrogation, Merle explains how he had killed Michonne. That's not going to last long because she's returning to the prison, so you're going to see her very soon, I believe. And now to the prison. Rick, still trying to cope with the death of his wife Lori after childbirth, is alone in the prison boiler room where she had died when the phone rings. He's like, holy shit, the fucking phone rang? Well, that's weird. He answers it to hear the voice of Amy. Who is Amy? Wait, Amy? Oh, what the... telling him she is in a safe place and will call him back. Call him later. Later, a second call from Jim asks him to explain his justification for killing other people and berates him for refusing to talk about Lori's death before dropping the cell. It's so weird that they even survived. What the hell is going on here? Dropping the call. A third call from Jackie draws Rick to try to explain his refusal to talk about Lori's death. Finally, the last call is from Lori. Realization dawns on him that these calls have come from those that have died, and all imagined is part of his grief. That's kind of what I figured. So he's kind of going insane. He leaves the boiler room, cleans himself up, and goes to join the rest of the group, seeing his daughter for the first time since he saw Maggie carry her into the yard after she was born. So he's kind of seeing her for the first time, like, when it's all peaceful and nothing bad's happening. So Rick has been going crazy. I mean, this is an extreme hallucination that's not really realistic either, but we'll let it slide. Rick spots Michonne waiting patiently outside with supplies for the newborn. The walker guts she was covered in, masking her presence from the walkers that surround the prison. She was protected. She pretty much got there unscathed with the supplies. Very smart of her to keep those guts on her, you know. Inside, Daryl, Oscar, and Carl are clearing out walkers when Daryl spots one of Carol's knights in it, who they thought had died in a previous walker infestation. Well, no, she actually put up a really good fight, surprisingly. Seeing a secure door nearby, Daryl psychs himself up to confront Carol as a walker, only to open it and discover Carol inside, exhausted but alive. So Carol is back with the group. That's great. He carries her back to the cell, so Carol survived the attack. I think I knew that. The AV Club gave it an A-. Of the multiple storylines weaved in this episode, which there was a lot to keep track of, to be fair, he felt that Rick's was, or some people say Rick's was the strongest and Andrea's was the weakest because it's literally sex. Like, Andrea has become more interesting with her confession about enjoying the fights from the previous episodes. She's kind of become more of a badass, like, heartless character than she was before. But that's it. I mean, that episode wasn't anything crazy. I mean, obviously the stuff that happened was insane, but it wasn't really like... I mean, I saw something that was like, holy shit, there's no way they just met up with those people. And I don't remember the very small details, so still, like, rewatching the show, it's great. But anyways, Jesus TV, I'm out. Watching your favorite TV shows and reviewing them. Yeah, that's what we do around here. We also do music and video games.